Thank you very much for staying on the marketplace and welcome back. Now, the Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, has set up a monitoring committee to ensure that the newly inaugurated Ghana International Trade Commission undertakes its responsibility of enhancing fair trade practices for the private sector. The monitoring committee will in the coming days recommend sanctions on some imported goods that are trading on the Ghanaian market through illicit means. The Ghana International Trade Commission was inaugurated by President Akufo-Addo last month. Ebenezer Sabuti has more in this report.
The 9-member monitoring committee of the Association of Ghana Industries and some other private sector business organizations is to boost the advocacy for fair trade by Ghanaian manufacturers. At a short ceremony to inaugurate the committee, Vice President of the AGI, Humphrey Dake, disclosed that cases of special import prohibition measures such as special anti-dumping duties and tariff adjustment have suffered delays. Chairman of the committee, Dr. Dawson Amwa, has hinted that the committee will be working strongly to ensure that unfair trade practices become a thing of the past. This will be done through initiatives including anti-dumping tariff on selected goods entering the country.
The GITC committee of AGI, representing the private sector, we don't have the power to impose, but we have the power, obligation to recommend for imposition. That is the truth. So our committee is to ensure that we collate. We really have our members ready to recommend from our end as petitioners. We are alleging for the commission to investigate and impose. So there's never a duplication or conflict. So we are here as a supporting function to our members to make sure that we put together our facts of allegation, evidence-based, for the commission to impose. We don't have the right to impose. Anti-dumping duties, no. We recommend for anti-dumping duties. We recommend for countervailing duties. We will recommend for adjustment of tariffs. So that is our function. And it's a function for the GITC Commission to impose. I think that is the clear.
Vice President Dake has been explaining in an interview the sole motive for setting up the committee.
The work of the board or the commission, it's very wide. And gathering data, information to adjudicate in the capacity of an appeal court to impose tariffs, countervailing measures, and other related issues can bring about trade war. Specifically, one of the panel members did say the situation in the U.S. is a clear case that one can refer to. So if we do not conform to the research base laid down by the WTO in gathering the relevant information to make a case against tariff set, it could be very challenging. Our work and our determination as a committee is to aid and support the Commission in gathering relevant data that will make the determination of their recommendation to government sound and evidence-based.
The AGI therefore admits that the unfair trade is not limited to imports only, but unfair competition emanating from the domestic trade where companies collude and involve themselves in anti-competitive pricing to gain market dominance.
Meanwhile, the Association of Ghana Industries, AGI, says it has agreed on key terms with the Chinese government on the disbursement of $2 billion for its members. The facility, which is directly coming from the China Building and Manufacturing Company, is to serve as counterpart funding for the One District, One Factory program. The assurance from AGI is coming at a time that there are reports that the country is having some challenges in agreeing on key terms for the disbursement. Our Vice President of the AGI, Humphrey Dake, tells Joy Business they have crossed all the hurdles for the disbursement to start soon.
Initial offer on the $2 billion came with some terms. Over the period, we have engaged our Chinese partners, the Ministry of Trade, and even to the extent of the economic management team. There were a few changes in the terms. That is still under negotiation, but it's still positive that we will have this fund. We know as a date there have been some fund allocated by the Chinese that are ready to go. We are working on the 15% component. You know, this was an engineering procurement construction facility. The Chinese were doing 85%. We had to do 15% as promoters or government-supported agency. That is what we're working on. And finally, we have crossed that bridge, and we pray that very soon we will see programs running out. Thank you.
As I cross over to the downstream sector of the petroleum industry, and the projected increase in prices of petroleum products could trigger an upward adjustment in transport fares in the coming weeks. The following analysis explains why there could be some justification for fares going up.
There is an agreement between the Transport Ministry and transport operators that any time price of petroleum products goes up by more than 5%, there is a correspondence review in fares. This is to help the operators deal with the expected costs associated with a review in fuel prices. Now, Joy Business calculations indicated that over the past 1 month or within the last quarter, fuel prices have gone up more than that 5%, a development that could result in operators pushing for an adjustment in fares. It is, however, not clear for now whether the Transport Ministry would grant any formal request from transport operators, taking into consideration other variables like insurance and spare parts. For some analysts, any increase in transport fares could erode some marginal gains made in terms of the marginal stability in general prices of goods and services.
And also Business Desk report. Let's now get onto the phone lines and speak with Energy Think Tank, Institute of Energy Security, IES, to find out whether there is any justification for the transport operators to increase fares at this time and by what margin. We're speaking with Richmond Roxon. He is the principal researcher of the IES. Richmond, you're welcome to the market, please.
Thank you very much.
All right. So by how much margin is the IES predicting? What rise in petroleum prices do you expect?
Good afternoon to your cherished business. We are projecting an increase of 2.5%. That's up to 2.5% as compared to the current figures that we have. If you check the last price window, we projected that we're expecting prices to go up about 2%. That's exactly what happened across various oil marketing companies. We saw prices going up by that margin. This time, the factors that influence petroleum prices on the local market have been negative. If you check, you realize that the S&P Global Platts benchmark shows clearly that petrol and diesel prices went up. Petrol went up by about 6%, diesel went up by about 5%. We check our exchange rate, our CD moved from 4 cedi 51 pesos to 4 cedi 55 pesos, a depreciation of about 0.89%. Even though it's less than 1%, it's still going to have an impact on what pricing will be. Crude oil prices are also going up on the international market. As we speak, is trading around $72, but the average for the period was $69 per barrel, as compared to the previous average of $66, which is a price change of about 4%. So these are the indicators that are influencing prices negatively.
Now, Richmond,
second pricing window.
Okay. Now, is the stabilization levy still operating, and if so, would it cushion prices in any way?
Yes, if you check our statement, we are still paying 10 pesos for LPG, 10 pesos for gas oil, and 12 pesos for gasoline. And in our statement, we also captured that this imminent increase can be abated if the National Petroleum Authority decides to trigger the price stabilization mechanism, which normally we depend on the price stabilization of the recovery levy to be able to deal with it. Once the government feels like consumers have already seen an increase in the first pricing window, government can kickstart that stabilization mechanism to be able to keep prices where they are now. If not, then consumers must be prepared to pay for it.
How much stock, fuel of stock do we have in our stocks?
Yes, we had about an import of about 200,000 metric tons coming in the country, but it is not just for cost. We have various oil marketing companies as well as BDCs importing these fuels into the country. So, but if you check with Post, the strategic stock that we have with Post, we barely have nothing to write home about. But in the private players, they imported fuel to the country. So you have BP, you have Shell, you have other companies also bringing in products.
Oh, now, currently, we've exceeded the 5% mark for which transport operators could use to increase fares. Now, do you support an increase at this time, and by how much margin are you expecting if it should happen?
For transport fares, over the period, you know that the ministry responsible for transport and the GPRT decided that every 6 months they were going to negotiate. But in the last year, we didn't see that happening. I think that once there was change of government also had a different way of handling it. So if the benchmark was 5%, it's only fair that we go back to the table to be able to negotiate. But for the specifics, that's the exact prices or fares that are going to be increased, that will be a decision for the two parties to be able to negotiate to come to a consensus.
Finally, before you go, what do you expect at the end of this pricing window? Do you expect any, drop in prices or the key determinants again?
No, the prices are still going up. Crude prices are still going up, as I mentioned earlier. As of today, it's trading around $72 per barrel. That is for Brent. We don't use WTI, so anybody who uses WTI in its analysis could be wrong. We use Brent crude, and Brent is currently selling around $72 per barrel. It's still going up. It's also affecting price of finished products, and they're also going up. Prices for finished products have gone up about 3%. So if things continue this way, then we'll be seeing increases as well in the next window. But if not, and there are any different figures, definitely it's going to affect price, and we're going to see either a stable price or reduction. But as we speak, it's pointing to prices going up again.
Many thanks for your time, Richmond Roxon. And Richmond Roxon is the principal researcher of the Institute of Energy Security. Away from that, two new airlines, Ashanti and Gold Coast Airlines, have submitted applications to the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority to operate both domestic and regional services. This follows earlier announcement that 5 airlines were undergoing various stages of certification to commence operations in the country. Speaking to Joy Business, Director General of the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, Simon Alute, explains the airlines have begun the certification process already.
The Aviation Authority has received applications from Ashanti Airlines and Gold Coast Airlines for an air carrier license. That's the very, very first stage. We go through what we call the economic license or the air carrier licensing. We review the business plan of the prospective airline. We work with them to make sure it's feasible, it's viable, and once that is completed, we obtain national security clearance for the prospective operator. If it's successful, then they are issued with the air carrier license. Once they get the air carrier license, they go through a 5-phase certification program, and upon completion, they are issued with what we call an AOC, or Air Operator Certificate, which makes them a full-fledged airline capable of operating scheduled passenger services and cargo operations. Yeah.
Now, the Ministry of Aviation has indicated it is implementing the regulated agent regime to enhance safety in air travel and transportation of cargo and mail by air. The Sector Minister, Cecilia Dapar, disclosed this at the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority Sub-Saharan Africa Regional Aviation Security Workshop, organized in collaboration with UK Department of Transport.
Under this initiative, cargo operators have been approved as regulated agents, known as consignors, to apply security control measures on consignments of air cargo received from a shipper. Cecilia Dapar is the Minister for Aviation.
I believe if you are not responsible for a baggage, then the baggage becomes without a consignee or consignor. So all these things are categorization of stakeholders to make sure every facet of the aviation system is covered. If you are sending cargo to him over there, you should be the responsible person to be registered with Ghana Civil Aviation Authority. People should be responsible for their actions. And this is one way of making sure that nobody will tell us we don't know who sent this, and it happens. People will disown baggage at the airports when they realize that they've been found out. This time you cannot do that. You are consigned from here. So it gets there and it's still yours.
Director General for the Ghana Civil Aviation Authority, Simon Alute, further explains how the system will work.
The regulated agents of these ground handling companies and so on will have to comply to security standards as relates to transportation of dangerous goods, and general cargo import and export to ensure that there's no threat to the civil aviation industry. The ground handlers, like I say, like Aviance, Menzies, and cargo operators like Air Ghana and the AFSEC unit of Ghana Airports Company Limited. The screeners will have to go through testing, and once you are successful, you are certificated, and gives us the assurance that you can do the job efficiently.
The Sub-Saharan Africa Regional Aviation Security Workshop was organized in collaboration with the UK Department for Transport, focusing on how to enhance security in airports within the sub-region.
Now, Ghana's energy sector is to experience a facelift as multinational energy giant Siemens offers to invest about $200 million for the establishment of a 600-megawatt thermal plant. This was made known at the Ghana Industrial Customer Workshop under the theme Electrification as a Catalyst for Growth. There's more in this report.
The country's energy sector seems to record significant improvement. This is because multinational energy giant Siemens is currently investing over $200 million in Ghana's energy sector. The investment will see the establishment of a combined cycle power plant with a capacity of 660-megawatt thermal plant aimed at boosting the distribution of power in the country. Andreas Pistora is the executive vice president for Siemens Power and Gas Africa. He spoke to Joy Business.
The Siemens engagement now focuses on the Rotom project, a fantastic project. It might be the first F-class, highest efficiency combined cycle project in sub-Saharan Africa that saves about 50% of the fuel compared to other projects. And it was outlined by the CEO during the conference, around about a $200 million savings over the lifetime, just due to the lower fuel consumption. So this means that for Ghanaians, this is not only efficient power generation, but it's also very cost-effective.
On his part, policy advisor at the Ministry of Energy and former CEO of Gridco says government is resolved to increase private sector participation in the distribution of power. According to him, with 25% of excess power being exported to neighboring Ivory Coast, Ghana's energy sector is very committed to attracting the needed investment.
There are so many people who are in here looking for investments in the energy sector. It's just that for now, we need to watch what is coming in. If you have too much in the system, you'd have to pay for capacity charges. So the government is looking at that carefully to ensure that we don't have way too many people coming in. It all relates to money. I mean, of course, everything is money, but we know very well that the tariffs used not to be good. So many of the utilities were having challenges financially, and then there was no way they could invest. Well, under the arrangements with the U.S. government, the MCC, there is supposed to be a private participant in the distribution business. So that's what I was talking about through MEDA.
Meanwhile, Siemens has also registered its intention to add about 300 megawatts of power to the national grid by 2023.
Let's now turn attention to the food sector, and the springing up of fast food joints across several parts of the capital has made it easy for some workers and commuters who are unable to fix for themselves the breakfast before their busy daily routines begin. Although most fast food joints are known to offer continental dishes, some vendors of local dishes are taking the meaning of fast food to another level. Karen Dudu has more in this report.
It's a Monday morning rush hour, and fixing yourself the favorite wache may seem almost impossible. You are late for work and stuck in traffic. No time to join the long queue for your heavy breakfast.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Atomic Watch, we are here one thing. We have watch going for 10.
We are all about providing the best Ghanaian delicacy to Ghanaians at their own convenience. We have a 7 cedi package, we have 10 cedi, and then we have 12 cedi package. The 7 and the 10 are the most patronized package on the street. So then the 10 and the 12, they all come with water, and then with the fish or meat, sausage, egg, and all the wachi stuff.
This local dish made up of rice and beans is usually sold along the streets. Now, with the help of 3 marketers, Jeffrey, Priscilla and Jeffrey, the dish can be acquired in traffic in the rush hour of the day.
It's also asset from Bank of Africa. I used to provide food for my colleagues every day. So we used to buy the food and then supply. So then I decided that instead of buying it from somebody else, why not be the main supplier of the food? And it always used to make me late for office because I have to go and join long queues and then come to the office. My boss will bash me for being late and all that. So then I decided to create some sort of convenience.
Some customers who spoke to Joy Business explained how convenient this new marketing strategy is.
As a driver, it's sometimes difficult to pack and buy food to eat. But with Atomic Wachi, I can even eat in traffic.
It's very good and convenient, especially workers going to work in the morning. It saves you from parking your car and joining a queue to make your order.
Although Prisla's team has managed to brand Atomic Wache, the story is different for others. Madam Rahina too is the owner of VIP Cocoa, a popular porridge joint in Accra. She has been in the business for close to 21 years. Rahina too tells me that the decision to brand her cups of porridge comes at a price.
Now we are all aware of the health risks in using plastics for hot food. So I decided to introduce paper cups in serving the porridge.
Rahina too is able to sell over 500 cups of a variety of porridge a day. The demand for packaged food is growing worldwide due to its convenience and health benefits.
I had plans of branding the porridge I sell, but the plain paper cups to be used for the branding are quite expensive, and that may affect the price of my food, which I don't want.
A research by Transparency Market shows that the global green packaging market is expected to grow by more than 60% by 2018, driven by waste reduction targets, increasing awareness of carbon emissions, rapidly growing economies, a lack of natural resource, and consumers' preference for eco-friendly products. Rahina too is not deterred by the regular investment in disposable cups to serve her food. She is only determined to satisfy the needs of workers in style. Reporting for Joy Business, Karen Green.
Now, the health sector is very, very important in our quest for economic development, and Joy Business will soon bring to you the Health and Wellness Trade Show, and as part of it, we'll bring you some information on health facilities and investments in Ghana that's coming ahead of the trade show. Well, so that's a wrap on today's edition of The Marketplace. It's been great having you on board. My name is Emmanuel Abuaji. Have a good afternoon.